Guys, thanks for joining us. Gaffer, we'll start with you. We're hoping to get back on action on Saturday, but first of all, most importantly, how are you and how are the lads as they've returned to training this week?
Yeah, some of them you can tell they've had the COVID. They're still not 100% fit, but no, it's good to see everybody back slowly but surely. It's just a matter of time now, how long it takes to get their fitness back.
Yeah, as you said last year when we had the sort of first batch of COVID cases in the camp, it was affecting some of the players that got it right the way through to the end of the season after they got it in January. How hard has it been for the players coming back this week, or do you think some of them have reacted better this time around?
No, you won't know until a couple of weeks. Reece will tell you that as well. He's with the lads training, but it's funny. We had a game today, and you can see the boys that didn't have COVID against the boys that did have was a little bit sharper, quite a bit sharper, to be honest. But I think if every club will find that, it's not just us. But if that's all we've got to worry about, I'll take that.
Yeah, obviously before we were talking about the COVID, we were talking a lot about the injuries. I think at one point you said we had 13, 14 out. Has this sort of break given a chance for some of the key players that we've had out with injury sort of move back closer to coming back into the side?
No.
But the thing is with those injuries, obviously, as you said before, it was a lot of the key players that have been out. Will this make it a lot harder as we come back into sort of playing games, because these games are going to have to get rearranged? We're going to have a lot of fixtures coming up.
Well, no, Reece has just come back from a terrible injury, and he'll tell you, we've had players that are out, but obviously with the break where you're playing catch-up all the time with them, and in that respect it has, because we've missed the games, but you've still got to play the games. The secret is don't push them in too early, and hope that everybody comes through it, because if you're injured, you're injured. It's just a time. Reece will tell you, I've been there myself, Reece, but it's just like ticking off the days, the months, and all of a sudden you look at the months, and the months becomes a year, and the year becomes... You're thinking, when's it all going to end? And the secret is, don't keep trying to come back too early.
You know, obviously we're not the only team that have suffered. Colchester themselves, they've had their game yesterday called off as well. Do you think the first few games that we play against the teams that have also had these similar problems, do you think that's going to be a little bit different, or do you think it would be a case of sort of normal services resumed?
You're out there to play. It won't be through lack of trying from us, because if they don't try, they won't be playing. It's as simple as that. But you just got to be a little bit careful when making sure that you're not sending players out there that are suffering and they're not 100% fit. That's the whole point of managing them and using everybody. We've been saying that recently, I'll probably tell you later, but I've been saying that all season, where we have added injuries and everything else. Every player that we've had is available, whether the lads believe me or not when I say that. That's up to them, but it's a fact. And we've had to field sides and put players in and people coming in to do different jobs. Of course, it's not the perfect world, but then get on with it. It's simple.
Obviously, Wednesday's game means that we've played our last game of this year. Obviously, it's been a very strange end to the year, but how would you sum up 2021?
Yeah, especially in it's Wednesday. You must still be drunk from Christmas, because it's Saturday our next game. In it, or is it me?
Yeah, no, as in our game on Wednesday it got called off means that that was our last game of the calendar year.
Do you understand what he's on about, Reece? Is it that Father Christmas suit he's got on, or what? No, listen, it's been a strange year. It's been a strange year for everybody. It just seems that we've all been under the cloud of COVID. We've had our ups and downs through the year, but listen, you're still here, we're still here fighting, and we're going to try and get as high as we can next year.
And Reece, moving on to you, obviously, Merry Christmas to start with both of you.
Oh, thank you. Merry Christmas, Reece.
Merry Christmas. I forgot to say it to you. Reece, obviously, before the COVID outbreak in the club, you were sort of working your way back into the first team. You played your first games. First off, how was that coming back into the side for the first time in nearly 2 years?
Yeah, no, it was good. Like the gaffer said earlier, he's building me up slowly. It was a big injury, out for nearly 2 years, so don't expect to walk straight back into the team. I've got to sort of earn the right. I've been training for months now, so confidence is building up slowly and nicely. Training was good today. But yeah, like I said, obviously, minutes will come. But yeah, I've just got to take my time and make sure it's right, like the gaffer said.
Was that a bit of a sucker punch for you when you found out all those games were called off? Because obviously, as you said there, it's been a really long process for you to come back. You're finally working your way, getting those minutes, and then all of a sudden, that's just sort of stopped dead. Is that a sucker punch for you, or is it just...
Well, no, not really, just because obviously I had COVID myself, so it wasn't really a sucker punch. It just meant that, I could, get more, time on the training pitch, and once I was back from COVID, and I wasn't missing out on the games either. So I know the games, that will be rescheduled, and hopefully I'll be even more ready when the games come back around.
we spoke about you getting those minutes so far. How happy have you been with your recent performances? I think a few of us thought you might have had your first goal since returning at Leyton Orient at the, I was going to say last weekend, but it wasn't last weekend. But how happy have you been with your performances since coming back?
Yeah, I've had in the games I've played in and come on, I've had a few good chances. Obviously, I'd like to put them away, but it would take time, and I think the more minutes I get, the more time I get, and when the confidence starts to come in, and then obviously I will probably finish them, when I get more minutes. But yeah, it's just it will take some time, but I'm pleased with the performances that I've been getting. So yeah.
Yeah, obviously looking ahead to 2022, what are your personal goals, just to sort of try and work your way back into the team and get as many starts as possible? Yeah,
that's the plan. I think for any player, obviously, especially out with a long-term injury, you want to sort of, come back in and start playing and, playing 90 minutes here and there. But realistically, it's not going to happen. So I think just, that is my, build the minutes up in the new year. But mainly, obviously, the team, it's a team game. So in the new year, we want to start to climb up the table and get to those playoffs because we're good enough. You saw that against Leyton Orient. It's probably the best performance I've seen from us all season. The morale was there, and the togetherness and the team was there. And performance-wise, it was the best I've seen all season. So if we can take that into the new year, I don't see why we can't get into them playoffs.
Mark?
Thanks. Yeah, staying with you, Reece. You talked about the togetherness then. How is the spirit in the squad? It always, whenever I speak to a player, they always seem like everybody just raves about the team spirit. Is that true, yeah?
Yeah, well, yeah, it must be, yeah. No, it is, to be honest. There's no cliques in the team. Everyone gets on with each other, and, I think, results in the past of, we went through a little patch, but like I said to you earlier, that little patch, hopefully now for the rest of the season, will be forgotten about, and we can start building on from the Leyton Orient game, and in the new year replicate that performance, and like I said, we wouldn't have a problem. And everyone on the training pitch and off the training pitch gets on very well with each other, and I think that's down to the gaffer as well, because he's put the team together, so there shouldn't be an issue with morale and team spirit in the change room.
Yeah, and you mentioned the playoffs. Do you think that is a realistic target for the team?
Yeah, 100%. I think last season we were in and around it, and then we let ourselves down with a couple of performances towards the end of the season. But it's the same team to last season. Obviously, we brought in a couple more players, but other than that, we're good enough to get into the playoffs. And I do think we can with a couple of games in hand, and we turn them into wins. We're back up there.
Yeah. And do you feel you're ready to start? I know it's the gaffer's decision, but
yeah. Well, I started, a friendly a month and a half back now, and played 65 in that. And regardless who it was against, lungs-wise, I felt okay. But like I said, training's different to a match day, and it's a lot harder out there because you don't really get lots of stops and drink breaks and things like that. So yeah, like I said, obviously in the new year we'll hopefully build up the minutes, and then hopefully I do get the starts when they come.
Yeah, thanks, Reece. John, I'm going to start with a question from a fan, Richard Cahill. He's asked, how have the lads trained and stayed fit over this period? And he said, does it feel like last year where it became a bit disjointed and patchy, or does it feel different to last year?
Yeah, I think we're more patches than a continental quilt, I think. But that's the way it is, it's not only us, but we've had, as I said, you've had players doing jobs and going playing in positions that they look at you sometimes as though what you're doing, what you're talking about. And it's just the way it's got to be. But I keep saying it ain't all about shape, it's about the players that you're putting in to play the shape. And if they all believe in what we're doing, and then it's down to me and Lee and Youngie and that from that side of it to make sure that we're sending them out and they know their jobs. Yeah. And if you know your jobs and you don't perform it, well, you know what, you don't get the chance to do it again. But from my point of view, from experience-wise, if I'm asking Reece to play right back and he's not a right back, but he's having a go for me, well, and I start slaughtering him, well, all I become then is a bully, isn't it? So you know that what they're doing, and you've got to compromise that, and that's where the team spirit gets you through that you help your mate out. You're out there, so you help. We all want to win. Everybody at that team wants to win, and if they didn't want to win, they wouldn't be playing.
Yeah. You said to me last week that if you were playing Wednesday, just gone, it might have been a bit too soon for a lot of the players. What about Saturday? Do you feel that could still be a little bit too soon?
When's too soon? By that last week we were saying with the injuries as well. Don't forget we've still got I keep saying it, but I've never been at a club where we've had so many injuries all at once. It's the most important, well, I say disappointing thing from my point of view, but getting Reece back, getting Jordan back when he comes, a couple of the others that are due, hopefully, Payne when he comes back. You'd like to think it'd be like having new players wrapped around you, because they'd be hungry. Reece is hungry. There's a few of them out of contract that they're fighting for contracts, and it's keeping everybody hungry. But as Reece said, I think within the camp and within the group, everybody wants to do well, but they're playing for their shirts, and it's up to me to pick them. But you pick your best side. If you don't, you've got to be, I'll give it all up and become a journalist.
You'll be very good at it.
There you go.
Yeah. How important is it as well to turn around the home form? Obviously, away form has been really good recently. Home form.
I don't look at that. I don't know, because when we first came here, we wasn't beaten for a year or something. But you're forgetting that there's other sides that come here to do a job on us. I just think it's one of them. It'll come. You just play what you play. If you don't play up to the standards that you're good at, don't matter whether you're home or away or training, you've got to get that consistency. And like I say, keep forgetting that there's opposition that do a job on us when we go away. But that'll come. If we'll work at it as long as we don't start panicking over it.
Yeah.
Last year it was all about we couldn't win a away game away from home, and yet we had 16 clean sheets. Highest you've been in the league. Cup runs, selling players for millions of pounds. Well, not bad for somebody that don't know what he's doing.
And you've obviously got 3 games to make up now. Is there any concern over fixture pile-ups?
No. When we was playing, as I said to you before, back in the day, you always had pitches called off because of ice and snow and feet, games cancelled and blah, 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 blah. I just think it's overemphasised too much. We've got 3 games to fill in 4 months?
Yeah.
Hey-ho. You know what I mean? You ain't got to get up and go work and dig in a mine or go to hospitals and patients and all that. That's what you call a bit of pressure. What's pressure? The lads have got to play an extra game. Better than training.
Yeah. And transfer window obviously opens up on Saturday, I think it's January 1st. Can the fans expect any players coming in quickly?
I think our transfer window's double glazed at the minute, and I don't think it's got any chance of getting opened in the short term. There's a few people that I'm looking at, but let's get the ones in the house at the minute sorted before we worry about bringing others in. Yes, we do. Every squad in the country needs strengthening, but if we ain't got the money to do it, or we're not getting the incentives to do it, then so be it. But there's 1 or 2 that I've looked at, that I've spoken to, but let's sort the boys out that have done well for the club over the last couple of years. Yeah.
And finally, Colchester, what can you expect from a Colchester side?
Who knows? They're most probably saying the same. I know Adi and Alex Dyer, they're good people, they're good football people, they'll have them organised, have them ready, but listen, if the players are come, we've seen some of ours suffering, I wouldn't say suffering, but their fitnesses ain't what they are. You don't know how this COVID has affected people. So everybody will be looking at the first couple of games going, so-and-so ain't right, or this one ain't right. You won't know that until you play. So we're looking at a tough game, but then every game's tough.